Hello, Internet, and welcome to my live reaction for One Piece Chapter 1045. When we last left our heroes, Gear 5 happened. Also we learned that, the Gum Gum Fruit isn't the Gum Gum Fruit, it is the human fruit model Nika, which, as I brought up, I didn't really see a lot of other people bringing this up, kind of makes me wonder what exactly are devil fruits? It's one thing for a devil fruit to give you the properties of a species. It's another thing, I think, to give you the properties of a specific person. But whatever. Luffy has Gear 5. And that power is just, seems to be the power of, 1930s style animation, which is a lot of fun, but it's a lot of, rubber hosing, a lot of, eyes that, drag behind the character as they're pulled around. Luffy can, move the ground like rubber now, which is, in a sense, a sort of naturalization of the paramecia aspects of Awakening, though now that we know that Luffy is not a paramecia at all, that kind of changes things. But yeah, Luffy's in Gear 5, and he's kind of kicking ass now. Also, Kazenbo, I think, accidentally killed Orochi. I think this is what happened there. It's a little bit confusing, but I think Orochi's dead for good this time, though I've said that on several occasions at this point. But I think he is dead for good. He already has one last moment of, go fuck yourself. It's all good fun. But yeah, the real highlight of last week was the fucking Gum Gum Fruit. So yeah, let's dive right on into chapter 1045, Next Level. Our cover here is this 2-page color spread of just the Straw Hat crew, the sort of kind of springtime festival aesthetic, I'll say. There's a lot of pastel colors in the background. It's just cute. It's fun. There's the Sea of Liberty banner, which maybe ties in with the Warrior of Liberation idea from last week. But anyway, chapter 1045, Next Level. And we pick up on the rooftop as Kaido is breathing heavy after the beatdown Luffy's given him. I was certain that you were dead. And Luffy's still just bouncing around. Me too! He's having a good time right now. Given that you're transferring your rubber power to other things. I suppose I can interpret this as the awakening of your paramecia powers. There's an interesting thing. Does the official translation call them paramecia? I always thought it was paramecia, but I don't think it's been mentioned since I swapped over to the official translation right before I started reviewing the series. Paramecia is not a word that's said very often. But maybe it is paramecia in the official translation. I'm still going to say paramecia just for, old habit. But whatever. But something doesn't add up. Body transformations like that are the trademark of Zoan powers. Which, Kaido getting right to the point, as he would know as a Zoan user. But Luffy's just, He's, so casual about all of this. Even when Kaido's about to chomp down on him, he's still, arms behind his head like he's sleeping. But Kaido eats him, and Luffy just, buffs himself up and pulls him open. Why you? Okay, so I'm trying to make out what exactly is happening here. Because he does something, and it looks like maybe Luffy goes inside of Kaido to, bounce around inside of him. Because Kaido takes on this, zigzag shape. As Luffy declares, Gum Gum Balloon! And he balloons himself from inside Kaido. Which, I don't know, there's something about that seems sort of classic Luffy. Which I guess works. It's very sort of the term Gear 1 is never used, but, very Gear 1, so to speak. Very sort of classic concepts, but used in, a way that feels reminiscent of that sort of, 30s style animation, like I've been bringing up last week. But Kaido's reacts to Luffy ballooning inside of him. Ugh, you little... And it looks like... This feels like it's Luffy's power floating away. Now that he's a balloon, I guess maybe Gear 5 adds to that cartoonishness, and he floats up carrying Kaido with him. Yamato and Momo see this from where they are in shock. And I think this is Momo's line, "What is that? What's happening? I don't understand. Kaido is getting fatter." And Yamato just reacts, "Was that always one of his forms?" I think Yamato, but okay. Um, and Kaido reacts to this, curses. What's wrong with me? My body isn't made of rubber. But because Luffy is sort of has that Paramecia style awakening where he's rubberizing everything else, he's making Kaido rubber, I guess? But that's an interesting question because this quality is specifically Paramecian, right? But we know now the Gum Gum fruit is a Zoan fruit. It's a human fruit model Nika. So what I'm then kind of wondering is, does the fact that the Gum Gum fruit is believed to be Paramecia, does that give it some kind of Paramecia powers? Does that make any sense at all? I don't know. Or maybe it ties into the sense of, like, giving freedom to others that the elders brought up last week. I don't know. And then we see, I think this is Luffy inside of Kaido. Oh, I see two lights. And if it weren't for the rubber hose animation there, that would be some fucking body horror. Because he stretches, and his arms pop out from Kaido's pupils to grab his nose. I guess little microscopic holes where light filters through, I guess? Gum Gum, and he grabs his nose as Kaido just, escape rocket! And he tears through, I think, Kaido's mouth. I don't think he fits his whole body through Kaido's nose. But yeah, he just, like, leverages that to, like, fly out of his mouth, I think. It's just some funky-ass powers Luffy has here. Bwah! And Luffy's just laughing, nah! And he looks back with that grin, hee. And then he, I think that's his tongue. I think he sticks his tongue out, and, like, it twirls up towards the sky or something. Gum Gum! And Momo and Yamato just watch Luffy, and they both in unison, what? Giant! And we see Luffy has grown to match Kaido in size, to just stop him. As Kaido looks up, sort of stares him down, and Yamato's just, what is that? And Momo, why do I hear Luffy's voice coming from there? Is that him? I thought they would know that better than most, given that Momo at least has the voice of all things. Also, like, the hair might be a little different, but it's still clearly Luffy. He has the trademark scar both on his chest and below his eye. The pants and the sandals are the same. Like, that clearly is Luffy. But yeah, Luffy's just a giant now, and he's up to, like, stomp Kaido like a snake. But Kaido bites into Luffy's side. Gah! But then Luffy grabs Kaido's head and his body. Gum Gum, jump rope! And he's literally just, like, using Kaido as a fucking jump rope. Just, it's the same sort of concept as the lasso thing from last chapter. But he has outmatched Kaido at this point. I don't see how Kaido, like, before Gear 5, it was like, I don't know how Luffy wins. But now he's just running Kaido ragged. I don't see how Kaido wins. Which in the end is, I think, maybe kind of an issue. In that, like, now that Luffy has these powers, it no longer, like, it feels much less like a contest between the two of them, more just like Luffy toying with Kaido until he wins. Which is not great, but it's still engaging, I'll say. So I'll just hang back and see how Oda deals with all this. They're, like, in the air doing this jump rope thing and falling towards the dome again. As Kaido takes his opportunity of being, like, point blank at Luffy. Blast breath! And Luffy is hit with a full force blast breath. Yow! And Yamato panics. Oh no! He took the full brunt of the blast breath! And we see Luffy's charred. And he's sent flying. He's way beyond Onigashima right now. But he's, like, blackened. Like, you know, he's faced with a cartoon explosion. It's very cartoony, Luffy, right now. We see he's like fully black right now, fully, in like ash and charred bits and shit. That does it. He's still conscious though, and he just like growls, and he starts like running in place or something that gets all of the charredness off, and then using these like flame quality that he's attained in his hair, I guess, is able to like zoom back towards Onigashima, I think. Gum gum! And we see Kaido's back in his hybrid form and stares at Luffy. Conqueror of 3 worlds. And he jumps above Luffy. Ragnarok! And he whacks Luffy to the point that Luffy's head goes like stretching into the dome, onto the performance floor, doing the same sort of like bulging eyes thing everyone's been doing since Gear 5 came to play. Ow! And the Beastars are all stunned at the giant fucking Luffy face. Ah! What? And then everyone is sort of, somehow, by Luffy's awakening, everyone is doing the same sort of bulging shock eyes, from Law to Kid to Chopper to Nami to Tama. And Luffy's head sort of like gets stuck for a moment in the hole he made when he burst through, and then he's pulled through all the way, comes snapping back out, and he falls over. And Kaido comments what I've been saying this whole time. It's like something from a comic strip. Or I was a bit more in the real-world animation, but the fact still remains. Luffy picked himself up. Oof! And Kaido sort of judges him. Well, that was a very entertaining show. But you've reached your limit, haven't you? You cannot defeat me. Is that what we're getting at? Is that the implication here? Because I was under the implication that like Luffy was kicking ass here, and Kaido had no chance against him now. But Kaido, either just to like keep up his vibe of being all powerful, or there's a genuineness there, he's saying that Luffy can't win. Oh, I see what he means now. Who says I'm at my limit? But then we see his hair turns back to black. As he's sort of like, he's breathing heavy and he's kind of confused. Huh? Oh. And then he looks like tired in the next panel and like fully, like, he looks like 80 and just exhausted in that last one. I'm all tuckered out. Okay, so I don't know exactly what's accomplished now. Like they gave us a lot of information about the Gum Gum fruit, but if Luffy can't fight again, we're in the exact same position we were like 4 chapters ago. But Kaido is seeing old man Luffy as just, who are you? But he sits down, and Luffy comments, oh yeah, I was dying before this. Wow, it takes a lot of energy. And Kaido almost like comforts him. You have my assurances. After you die, someone will tell the tale of your great battle. And Kaido, we're seeing more of that sense of Kaido as this kind of, the honorable foe is what he's been looking for. The honorable death. Back when we were first introduced to him, jumping off of Sky Islands to die. He wants an honorable foe to take him out. Or, if he wins, wants the victory to be honorable. It's why he wasn't happy with I think it was Higurashi who interrupted the fight with Odin. Why he was upset with CP0, interrupting the fight with Luffy. We're seeing that again here. Like, even if I beat you, you're still this great warrior, and you'll be remembered. But Luffy counters, I don't need any of that. Once we're dead, the only thing that's left is bones, and then we see, back at the sideshow with Yamato and Momo, it really is Luffy. It just didn't look like him because his hair and clothes turned white. And Momo comments, but his voice is nearly dying out. But Luffy gets back up in what seems to be that iconic Gear 2 pose. But his clothes are turning white again, much like Yamato commented. Which I kind of missed that his clothes were white now. Even in that giant form, I thought he was just shirtless for a minute for some reason. But looking at it now, he's clearly wearing his normal, not quite a shirt coat thing. It's just white. And it's turning white again. This can't end yet. Momo, Tama, Kinemon, Pedro. Okay, that's an interesting thing. Because Pedro has very little to do with Kaido. Pedro is all about Big Mom. All about like that. If he was fighting Big Mom, I could see Pedro being brought up now. But like whole cake. I'm trying to find the right way to phrase this. It ended up having a lot to do with Wano as Big Mom, came to Wano and allied with Kaido. But at the time, Whole Cake was kind of this like subplot that the gang got distracted on for 75 chapters before they went on to Wano. So Pedro isn't really like relevant to this fight. I don't know. It's a weird thing there. But Kaido, as Luffy was back into Year 5, Kaido laughs. Whoa. Careful, or you'll die. And Luffy tells him, you actually think I'm afraid of that? Come on, Heart, hit that beat. And we see his Heart doing that same doot-da-da bit that it was doing when he first turned Gear 5. Very well, then. And Kaido brings up his club. Luffy's back to being in Gear 5. Yeah, that's the sound. And Yamato calls out, look out, Luffy. And Luffy looks back at the oncoming club with a grin. And it hits him full on, but Luffy seems terribly unconcerned. His head kind of flattens and like curves around the club with like the spike, like his face now it's like covering the club's spikes. It's an interesting choice there. Yamato's just stunned. Wah! And Luffy just runs. Ow! But Kaido just raises another attack and brings it down on Luffy. Yeah! But Luffy... So the ground... Oh, I see. When Kaido hits Luffy, Luffy's awakening makes the ground kind of contort. And then it pops back into place, sending Luffy flying into the sky. Whoa! And he bounces off a rock and goes, I think, flying... No, okay, so I think he hits the rock, and he sort of sits there, weirdly squash, it looks like. 3, 2, 1, 0. And he bounces off towards Kaido, turning into like a tornado. And Kaido thinks, what does all of this mean? He turns all white. He uses the colors of armament and the Supreme King, and can transfer his power to other things? I've never seen such freewheeling combat before. Okay, you see Luffy's also like his tornado, like his fists, just flying around in a circle. As Kaido taunts, there is no one in this world who can defeat me. But then, Luffy decks him. His hand coming out the other side of Kaido's head, it looks like. Yeah, we see that on that close-up, his up to like his arm is like impressed into Kaido, but his fist is out Kaido's head. I'm sure that won't kill him due to some kind of cartoon physics, but it did some damage, shocking Yamato and Momo, and Kaido falls over. The hole no longer there. The hole in his head is not there. Luffy just asks, isn't this fun, Kaido? To be continued. So we're not off next week. We'll be back next Sunday. But okay. So this is quite the chapter. It really is. This is like the most focus chapter we've had in a long time. There's not a single cutaway to some other subplot. We don't check in on Hiyori. We don't check in on Zoro's continued, like, barely being alive or anything. And to be fair, there's not a whole lot of subplots left at this point. I think it really is just Luffy here. And so, this chapter is all Luffy. And it's fun. It is ridiculously fun. Like, Gear 5 is an incredibly fun move. An incredibly fun mode. It's just, it's so manic. You never quite know what's going to happen next. And I do like that the chapter, despite my initial misgivings that this was just Luffy beating the shit out of Kaido and there was no more challenge anymore here, we do still see there is a challenge, especially after the first half. That back half is much more neck and neck between the two competitors. And so it does a lot to assuage some of my worries there. But it's just fun. There's no other way. Like, it's hard to say anything about this chapter beyond just I'm having a blast. It's ridiculously fun. Oda's going all out in Luffy's goofiest form yet. And God bless him. God bless him. What a fucking fight. It just feels like Oda's having an absolute ball here. And I cannot fault him a bit when it's this much fun. This fight is absolutely so fun. Like it was really good before Gear 5, but there's also a lot more like serious. There's a lot more dramatic, and the drama is still there. It hasn't gone anywhere. But Gear 5 has given the whole thing this like goofy undertone that's a total blast to bear witness to. Excuse me. And it's just so much fun. Like it's just a joy to watch. And honestly, I don't fucking know. I don't fucking know what else there is to say. It's just fun. I'm sure it'll be an absolute delight once this fight gets animated. Once the anime makes it this far in like 2 or 3 years with how slow they go. But you know, it'll be a total fucking blast. This is going to be incredible to see. It's incredible to see in the manga, and getting the anime to like really expand on the kind of 30s rubber hose animation of Gear 5's whole concept will be an utter joy. I can't wait to see that play out. But for now, the chapter as is really fun as the fight just kind of continues. You know, this chapter is really just a showcase of like, you know, the titular next level of just Luffy being this much more powerful figure thanks to the power of Gear 5. It's a blast. It's a real blast. I can't wait to see where all this goes next week. But for now, that's all I gotta say for this video. Hope you'll enjoy the chapter and the video itself. If you did, feel free to drop me a like or subscribe. Or, you know, do whatever makes you happy, you know? And as always, your life is your own, okay? Bye!